So welcome, Trey. How are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. It's Friday afternoon. We're headed into the weekend. So this is a perfect time to chat with you.
Yeah, it is. You're a busy man.
Yeah, I think we're all busy, but I seem to be busy. I know it's very busy in my mind. I don't know, but I know it's busy there. So that's for
But,
sure.
but you do some meditation, right?
I have started doing meditation and I've done it off and on for maybe a year or two. And just recently, it's finally feeling good. It's finally gotten to the point where I look forward to it instead of dreading it, if you know what I mean. So that's a huge step for me. So
Yeah,
I'm making some progress here.
it's great. I mean, you're getting to the point where you miss it if you don't do it.
Yeah, just I'm feeling it, I guess. So it's
Yeah.
I'm able to settle down into it a little bit more now, which is better than sitting there in agony for 15 minutes.
Oh, you've got a lot of balls in the air, right? You've got restaurants, you've got businesses, you're all over the map. And you're
Yes,
an
I
awfully young guy. So you got the
I I am not very young, but thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So tell us a little bit about you, what you're doing in your life. You're in Atlanta, right?
Yes, I am in Atlanta, born and raised in Atlanta, and still here. So I don't know what that says about me. But yeah, I grew up here and went to school over in Alabama at Auburn University. And there I wanted to be a veterinarian because all young people love animals. So, well, that's what I'm going to do. And that didn't quite happen because I couldn't get into vet school because I was not smart enough. Twice I couldn't get into vet school. So I graduated with a zoology degree. Will get you nowhere. And then I was a mascot when I was in college, oddly enough. And so when I got out, I got a job here in Atlanta with a professional team, football team here in Atlanta as the mascot because I couldn't find any other jobs.
So what'd you
So
dress
that's
up as?
Well, I was a bird, actually. I was the falcon and I wore tights, a grown man wearing tights. So, for a living at the time.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
Gotta do what you gotta do. Gotta do what you gotta do. So, yeah, I was doing that. And I started my first company called the Fur Bus by accident, which is basically party buses. My buddies and I bought an old school bus and did the whole thing in fake fur, just like a big party machine, drove it to Las Vegas. One thing turned into another. We got back and it got real popular. So it actually, by accident, turned into a business. So that was the first thing. And from that, I fell into a bar and then I bought another bar and got into the restaurant business as well as the event business. So I've always been into entertaining people in one fashion or another, be it in a restaurant or a bar or on a bus or at the sports game. So I've always kind of loved to entertain people, loved to inspire happiness and laughter and all that stuff
And
in
then
my
then
previous
what
life.
happened? You've like shifted gears recently. What hhappened?
Yeah, so a few years ago, I just hit a lull. I've turned now. Let's see, I'm 45 now, and I'm single. I've always pretty much been single. I've never been married or engaged or anything. And so my businesses kind of hit a lull and I wasn't in a relationship and all my friends were, different parts of their life. So it kind of hit me pretty hard, uh, to be honest. And I started doing a lot of self searching and personal growth stuff and just trying to figure out, I guess like a lot of us do, what am I supposed to do? The partying is old. Um, I've learned recently that I believe I'm an introvert. So being in social environments has been super stressful, even though that's what I've been doing for the last 20 years.
That's
Uh,
crazy. That's
yeah,
crazy that you would have chosen the businesses that you chose to start, given
yeah,
what you just said.
yeah. It's funny. It's like, I think, I've always been kind of a comedian guy. I've always kind of hidden behind my humor, which I know a lot of guys do. Um, and as a mascot, I was in a costume. I was making people laugh, which filled me up, but I didn't have to talk. They didn't have to see me. I didn't have to, there's a barrier. And even with the bars and the restaurants and stuff, it's almost like I'm the owner. So that kind of fills me up, and people like me because of that, or I think they like me, but I don't have to let them in. I don't have to, I don't have to let them be too close, which is kind of what I'm trying to overcome now in my life, is to build
Just create
connection and
some,
stuff.
yeah, and be a little more vulnerable with others.
Yeah, that's my goal. I mean, we're going in deep right out the bat here.
Hey, why mess around, right?
I hope this is okay.
I don't get you for very long, so I'm going
Yeah,
for it.
yeah. Well, as long as you want to hear it, I'm here to tell
Oh
it.
yeah,
So
that's, what I really value is interviewing men, because I have a lot of great female friends that have a lot of great things to say, a lot of great businesses, a lot to share. Women don't have trouble talking. So I
yeah,
really value these times where I have the male perspective on the show so that we
right.
can all learn from some of you guys.
Yeah, for sure, for
So
sure.
I
I
like
think
the idea that you're looking for some vulnerability and getting outside yourself and are okay with talking about that.
yeah, that's the path I'm on, and the goal I want to achieve is ultimate connection and love. I mean, I think that's what we all want, but I think guys have a harder time with it, and that's
Why do
kind
you
of what
think
we found.
that is?
I think the stereotype, or the society is deemed guys like we started recently. I've started the Neuyu Project, which I think you spoke about earlier before we got on the line here, which is basically we're just trying to provide experiences for just guys to get together and talk about life, just open up and share and try to figure out what's going on. And so what I've heard and what I know that's in me is we're shut down a lot. We don't like to share. We don't like to, you're not supposed to talk about your feelings. You're supposed to be the rock in the relationship and a family. You're supposed to be the hero. And, I keep hearing this from all these guys that, they, in their family, they can't really, be soft, what I call be soft to their wives and stuff like that, because they have to be, they have to be the strength and the strong one in the relationship for the family, the provider. And then if they can't talk to their immediate family, then they've got no one to talk to, because a lot of guys aren't at my age bracket aren't making new friends. So it's an interesting world we live in.
Yeah, do you
Us
think
men out
you
there.
men, do you think though, I mean, with your experience with the other men that you come in contact with, but as well as your own personal experience, don't you think it's possible to have both? To be the vulnerable guy and the breadwinner, or whatever other stereotypical feeling you're bringing to the show?
Yes, I definitely think you can do that as a man. And once you have strength inside and you know who you are as a dude, then when you show vulnerability, it comes from a place of strength, and it's almost more powerful, right? So it's not the fear that men like myself think about when we think about, okay, if I'm going to tell my team or my business or the people that work for me or the girl I'm in a relationship with my feelings, that I'm having a bad day and I'm scared, then they're all going to see me as weak, and now I'm the weak one, and the whole house cards is going to fall. I mean, I think that's kind of like the fear a lot of us have as business leaders, as, heads of households and that kind of thing. So just trying to figure out how to deal with that, how to build the inner strength so we can be, I guess, towards vulnerable and open up to release a little bit of that energy, so that we don't bottle up and cause problems for ourselves.
Yeah, I found that for myself too. Very reserved in not wanting to let people in and not wanting to be vulnerable for
Mhm.
the fear of being hurt. But
Mhm.
the transformation came when I started to become more vulnerable. Then I started to realize that that was exactly what you just said. It's much more powerful. Your vulnerability makes you more powerful. It gives people an insight into the fact that you're just human like the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
with
True.
all the
True.
frailties and all of the other thing that goes along with it, and that it's okay to be human.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, people, if you show some vulnerability, then other people will say, "Oh my God, thank you," because that's the way I feel too. Now we can be in this together.
Yeah, it does.
And
It
you know what?
gives people
Yeah, I'm sorry.
permission.
Right, right. And I was just thinking as you were saying that, something I struggled with, and I hear a lot from the guys that we work with, maybe you've experienced it with women, is okay, we know we need to be vulnerable. We've heard it, we've read it, we've seen it on the documentaries. But what does that mean? For guys, it's what are the tangible steps I have to do to be this word called vulnerable? Because we don't, it's like we don't know what to do. We don't know how do you even do that? So that's
Well,
something that's interesting.
and I think maybe you guys, and let's go back to the stereotype examples, right? You
Mm-hmm.
guys come to it with this, I'm going to fix something. I got to fix something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Show me how to fix it and it'll be fine.
Right.
And
Exactly.
right. And sometimes it isn't about there's nothing wrong. That's the thing.
Right.
There's nothing to
Right.
fix. There's
Right.
nothing wrong and there's nothing to fix. You are who you are. And I see a lot of people all the time. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
personal life coach, spiritual coach, meditation coach. And a lot of it is we put so much pressure on ourselves to be a
Mm-hmm.
certain way, some kind of mask or facade that we think is going to make us more acceptable in the human beingness that we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I had someone tell me once when I was really being hard on myself, and it's something that stays with me all the time, where he said, Maggie, you really just need to put the bat away. Just put the bat away. Like, don't be so hard on yourself. Like, just be human. Just allow yourselves to go through what you need to go through to get to where you need to get. And there's
Yeah.
no time frame. There's no place to go. There's nothing to fix. There's nothing really to do. And that we all awaken at our own time.
Right. 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 And
Yeah.
do you think that putting the bad away is acceptance for yourself, like accepting and forgiving yourself for, like, for me, putting the bad away, that struck a chord with me because I just over the past couple of years learned self-acceptance and self-forgiveness, which just completely rocked my world for the better. But you don't get it, and then all of a sudden you understand it. It's like just takes all that pressure off.
Well, exactly. And it's really about being having the courage to look at the underlying conversations that drive the feelings,
Mm-hmm.
drive the insecurity. Where does it come from? And by the way, is that internal dialogue that I'm thinking about, is it even true? Or did I just make it up?
Right.
Because a lot
Right.
of
Where does
times,
it come from?
yeah. And sometimes it comes from the past conversations we inherit from people in our lives. And sometimes we just made it up and we believe it.
Yeah.
And that, and
And
it,
then it just never stops. And it just goes and goes and goes and goes.
and that's why meditation for me has been the lifesaver. It's completely transformed who I was. I mean, I was crazy, just nuts. And I am not that person anymore.
You look amazing by that green leaf now. Everything looks great.
Yeah, but I was a nutcase, really. I was living, like, I always describe myself as someone who was hyperventilating through life. It was like the more I
Yeah.
did, the more it made me feel accomplished and good enough. And that if I just did enough, I'd be okay in my own skin. And somewhere
Wow.
inside of starting to learn how to quiet that internal dialogue that you're talking about, inside of meditation had me find the peace and the stillness that I was looking for all this time, and the self-acceptance you're talking about, and the
Mm-hmm.
self-forgiveness and all of that. But
Yeah.
it
It's
hasn't
a powerful thing.
it hasn't been an easy journey, and it hasn't been
No, no, no.
This life thing isn't for the birds, you know?
Yeah, it's not like you sit down and meditate for your first time for 10 minutes and everything is rosy after that for the rest of your life.
Presto, right? Right.
It
So
is. Do you find that the meditation is the best kind of exercise for people that like the men we work with, the men and women that you work with? Is that kind of step one you recommend?
for me, it is. It is what I use as the foundation to everything I do. Is I teach
Hmm.
meditation first, and people get
Hmm.
squirmy, people get resistant, people don't want to, people sit through it and just like it's something they have to do, and then ultimately, when they make it a habit and it becomes something that they want to be doing, like you were describing earlier, they
Hmm.
start to understand the subtle but very profound shift that comes in. And it's that awareness
Hmm.
of who you are, how you're operating in the world, and that you don't have to be caught up in that hamster wheel to be okay. That life
Yeah.
doesn't have to be about reaching and searching and grasping for something to be okay. I don't need that
Yeah.
sports card. I don't need that beautiful girl on my arm. I don't need the PhD to be okay. That everything I need is inside, but I just forgot
Hmm.
to go there to ask.
Yeah. Or you don't believe it, right? Because you keep beating yourself up. And who wants to go in there?
Well,
I
I
think a lot of
think the
people battle.
the most common misperception of reality is that what I need to be happy is somewhere out there. And
True.
it's just
True.
not. It's right here. It's right
Right.
here inside. I don't need to look very far. I just need to get still. And the thing is the silence is always there. We're the ones who left.
Yeah.
We're the ones.
Especially in this day and age with the phones and there's just constant stimulation. So it's crazy. And, that's why we started what we're doing, which we originally called our detox retreats, which was simply let's get overworked, overstressed guys out of the city into the woods where there's
Mhm.
no noise, no screens, human connection, human conversations, greenery, something grass on the ground, and just relax for 48 hours and let's see what happens. Let's just see what happens. And it's
Well,
just mind blowing.
isn't it? Because
Mm-hmm.
I have a meditation house here in San Diego, and the first rule is leave your phone in the car. Phones are not
Mm-hmm.
allowed. And
Awesome.
for some people, they get really wigged out about that whole idea. They get antsy and like I've just cut their arm off, right?
Yeah.
And some people just welcome it, like having someone else tell them to put the darn thing down.
Oh, thank God.
Gee, right? And really, it's what it is and what you're on to with what you've created with the Neuyu Project is reconnecting us with one another in the moment,
Right.
returning to
Oh, yeah.
relationship that no longer exists outside of a text. I mean, I have a 16-year-old boy. He doesn't talk to anybody by phone.
He's never going to speak to another human being again. Just don't need to. Technology's got that taken care of.
Hey, when your boy is texting you from down the hall,
Yeah, yeah,
you've got a
yeah.
problem, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But that's also part of that. Let me fill the void somewhere else. I'm not content here with this body. I need to find happiness somewhere else. And I need
True.
and the other piece of it and why I think meditation is so foundational is that it teaches us how to be okay in the stillness with ourselves. It teaches
Yeah.
us to be okay without filling it up with food or alcohol or sex or gambling or shopping or all that stuff we do to fill the voids.
Mm-hmm.
So
100%.
yeah.
100%.
So
Do
when
you
you
find what do you find as far as the meditation go for men? If you work with men, do they respond better to a certain kind of meditation? For example, for me, I've been able to get into it more by listening to binaural beats and chanting and stuff, which kind of gets me in a that's what I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm slowly getting into the silence and just the breath and everything. But is there something that you've found that works better with men?
Well, for me, I teach silent mantra-based meditation.
Oh, okay.
So I
Cool.
provide a mantra so that every time your head starts to go off into wherever it goes, that you have a place to return to that is not a thought that has any meaning.
Right, right.
So if you can think about something that doesn't have meaning, then you can find a place, your mind can find a place to just be still and not
Right.
attach any meaning and not make anything out of it other than just, okay, so I strayed off into, oh boy, I need to go get the groceries and I'm really late for this and da, 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 da. But you've got
Yeah.
this mantra. Oh yeah, let's go back to the mantra. I have a place to return to that's safe. So
Yeah.
I teach silent mantra based meditation, but meditation is thousands of years old, the whole idea. And there's a ton of different kinds of meditations. There's, like you mentioned, the beats, or there's even drumming, there's chanting, Gregorian chants. I mean, it goes back centuries, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't really matter what form you use.
Mm-hmm.
The whole idea is the same, just to return you to yourself, to return to that restful awareness. Because when else do you have an opportunity in your lifetime or in your day to stop moving while you're awake?
Yeah.
We don't give ourselves permission to stop moving ever during the day.
You can't.
You can't.
Not in this day and age. Not in the West. You can't. I mean, this is America. We got to work 24 hours a day.
And so that's the misnomer I'm trying to break up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That it is okay to take care of you first. Because quite honestly, if I didn't take care of me first, I wouldn't be much good to the rest of the people in my life. I would be that
Yeah.
crazy battle axe I used to be. I was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's went to a big marketing conference with a bunch of guys, and the leader of the marketing conference was this guy who had severe addiction problems in the past, and now he's a multi-millionaire. And when asked what he would tell addicts to do, first thing to do to kind of break out of the cycle, is he said, do 31 days straight of yoga or massage, just 1 hour every single day, and it'll change. It's basically a meditation,
Mm-hmm.
So it's true. It's you settle down, and then after that, you'll be so much more productive and better for everyone around you in the world, that life will line up for you.
So you decided to start the Neuyu Project because you felt that in your own life and you just wanted to spread the wealth?
So it was 50% I need this, and it was 50% I think this is a good business opportunity, because I knew that the wellness movement is coming, and it's massive, and I know that it's easy for women to get involved with it. I mean, they're involved with yoga, and wellness is not a obscure word for women, but guys need it just as much as women need it. But it's too woo woo for men. So I was thinking, how can I create a space where we can dip guys' toes into yoga and meditation and breathing and clean food and communication with other guys? If I can create that space and that environment, I think there's a huge need for it, for myself as well as other men. So it was kind of, I saw a need, and I think there's a good business there that's positive and helps people. And then the other was, I need to connect. So if I create a circle of guys, then
You
it's
take
gonna
them on.
force me to connect with them, which is crazy, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, you take them on the journey with you, which is wonderful.
right,
What a great idea.
right,
And
yeah,
obviously you already had the entrepreneurial spirit. So this is a wonderful way to sort of move your life in a totally different direction.
yeah. It's been fun. It's been challenging personally, and rewarding, obviously. That's what life's all about. Hoping we can figure it out and keep some momentum going.
Yeah. Well, first of all, what's the philosophy that you live by now? I mean, you said I'm done with the drinking and all that. That part of my life is kind of expired, I guess. You didn't say that. I'm saying that.
Well, it's expired now. She said it. It's done. Moving on.
Right? You
Yeah.
can't, you did your fill. Now it's time to grow up, right? In a sense,
Right.
right? So what
Yeah.
philosophy are you living by now?
Right now, I'm just working on myself to be in service to other people. I have a soft place in my heart, like a lot of us do, for people that are suffering. And because I've suffered, I've been in the darkest places of hell, in my own life. So when I see other people, I just drives me nuts because I want to help them. So that's kind of my whole philosophy now is how can I help the first person? How can I help one person? That's all. That's my only goal, to truly help one person. And then if I can do that, and there's one behind that person, great. If there's not, and it's just that one, that's awesome. And adds value to everybody's. And so that's kind of been my mindset and my North Star, past couple of years.
Is there some kind of defining moment that led you down this path?
Yes. Do you want to hear
Yeah, I want to hear it.
it?
Of course I want to hear it.
So, about 3 or 4 years ago, here's the deal. I love Tony Robbins. All right. He's always been fascinating to me as a businessman, as an entertainer, as a self-help guy. And I've always read a bunch of self-help books and all that other stuff. And so, but I've never been to any of his events or anything. I've watched a few YouTubes and stuff. And I always thought about going to one of his events, but I was like, it's $600, it's $1,000. I don't know what. So one rolled around about 4 years ago, and I saw it, and it was on my birthday. And I was like, And it was in LA, and I have a friend that lives in LA that I could stay with, and the course was only, I don't know, $500 or something. So I was like, all right. And I had some Sky Miles. So I was like, you know what? I want to see this man perform magic and do his show. If anything, I'm going to go and just be entertained. It'll be a weekend off from Atlanta, and we'll see what happens. And Saturday night of that event blew me wide open. Like, I don't tell many people this, but we went through this exercise, and it was the first time in my life that I had ever felt love. It was self-love. It just blew me wide open. And that literally that night was a catalyst for the past, 2 years of sun finally shining again, and me clawing my way out of this, and self-acceptance. And I still have rough times and rough thoughts and bad days and this and that, but a lot of it's just been a lot better since that. So kudos to whatever he did to
shake,
kickstart the
yeah,
process. Yeah.
to shake you
But
up. Yeah.
it's like you said earlier in the conversation, it's, when people are ready, they're going to find their awakening. And if it's a speaker or a experience or a moment or a friend or family member or an accident or whatever it is, it'll hit them, and it'll shift you. You'll
Yeah.
see things for the first time.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And so how did your life transform after you kind of got that shake up call?
there was about 50 to 60% less negative chatter in my mind after that. It's still there and it's still hard, but it's just, I quit beating myself. Self forgiveness and acceptance came to me, and it just made sense. A lot of things made sense. And when I felt that love that night, it just filled me up. I don't know how to explain it. It just filled me
Yeah.
up so that I can I can take hits and not. I can walk outside and I can smell flowers and look at them and be there and be like, this is all that matters right now. And I never ever got that shit before. It's just my mind was just like, I'm a loser if I'm blah, blah, blah. It just never shuts up, you know. But it's been an interesting ride. I mean, I'm not there by any means, getting there. So,
Well, you know what? There's no place to go, right? It's not like there's a
yeah.
destination. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
destination. It's the whole process. The cool thing is that you're awake, right?
Yeah.
Because you could have
Yeah.
gone another 40 years inside of
Right.
that mindset
Right.
and that chatter and ended up on your deathbed going, how come I didn't? Or why did I? Or I wish I had.
Right.
You
Right.
know? So that's the greatest thing is that you're awake now.
Yeah. Awake and the energy's there, and it's let's go do something.
Change the world.
And for me, yeah, well, for me, my whole thing has been I've had, intimacy problems. So I haven't, people get close and I push them away kind of thing.
Mhm.
I have to call it fear of commitment or whatever it is. And that's why I've, 45 and I'm still single. And I'm like, whoa, I want, this is not what I want, a
Right.
relationship. And I want love. So, that's kind of been my battle. And that's what I'm really trying to overcome, some of those subconscious patterns that push me away from intimacy and all that stuff.
Yeah, but
Well, that's
sometimes people think, and I was just talking to a client yesterday about this, it's not like you can decide that you're going to
yeah.
change yourself and then tomorrow morning you're a new man. You really have to do the work, right? You have to find the
Mhm.
courage and the inner strength to look at why is it that I'm afraid to commit to anything or commit to the relationship. Is it a fear of abandonment? And so I'll leave you before you can leave me, or
Mhm.
who knows what it is, right? But
Right.
unless we dig to that next level, then
Mhm.
likely it's still a gnawing thing of I should be changed, I should be different, and why don't I, and how come I can't, right?
Right.
So there's work to be
Right.
done. And in this age of instant everything, we all think we can make that shift just happen. Yeah, just Google it.
Yeah, for me, it's always been I want to do the work. I know what I want, and I know what I resist, which is the intimacy and this and that. Where do I even begin? Like you said, in today's age, it's like meditation, talk therapy, gestalt therapy, this, that, hypnotherapy, this, trauma, this. I mean, so you're like, whoa, where, for people, I just don't even know where to begin. I think they're just overwhelmed with it. But
Yeah, in some cases. Now, who do you think has most influenced your life path or has been one of your biggest role models?
of all time, what's interesting? Lately, it's actually been Tommy who you interviewed. Um, he's a solid dude, and
Yeah.
my whole objective in life and now is to be around solid people. Upgrade my circle and my friends and my everything, because I want to be around positive, engaging, quality people. And he's come into my life and really taught me a lot of things about life, not just business and stuff, but life and being
Yeah.
a good person and stuff, which
Yeah.
has been awesome.
It's really important to surround yourself with the people that you like, you want what they have,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
And for me, I didn't have, my dad died. He was an alcoholic, and I didn't have any males in my life. It was just my mom and grandmothers and stuff. So I've always lacked that male role model. So now in my life, I'm still looking for a solid, confident male role model that I can kind of absorb some of their energy, like a Tony Robbins or Tommy. These guys that seem
Hmm.
pretty solid, and so I've really gotten a lot out of our relationship, my
Well,
my friendship with them.
what I think is really cool is what you just said is that you've always been looking for these male role models. And the thing is if you have also become one
Yes,
in
yeah,
the
true.
business that you're creating. So
Yeah,
it's really cool. If I can't
yeah, it
find it,
is.
I'll create it.
Exactly. It's like, I'm going to step into the fire. Let's go.
You're
That's what I want.
yeah, you're filling your own niche.
Yep. 100%.
Right? I think that's awesome. And
And we need quality people around us. There's just so much value in having. And I'll give you a quick example. We were in our first board meeting for the Neuyu Project, and I was kind of leading the meeting, and Tommy was there, and he's been in a billion board meetings over the course of his career in finance, so he knows how they go. And like I was saying earlier, he's kind of been a good little mentor and friend. And so after the meeting, we went and had a beer, just him and I. And he was like, "How'd you think the meeting went?" And I was like, "Oh, it went pretty good. I think it went pretty good. We're just starting. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of fear, like any business." He's like, "Something bothered me about that meeting." I was like, "What? What?" Because he's so optimistic. He's like, "You said something that you said. I think you said like 24 negative things in that meeting." I'm like, "What?" He's like, 24 times you said something negative in that meeting. And he was just saying it like he was confused. And it hit me. It's like, oh my God, that is so valuable. And then he went on to say, listen, this thing's going to work. And we have to be positive. And there's no room for negative words. And there's no room for negative thoughts. And we're ready. We're going to rock and roll. And I was like, you're so right. It was such a life lesson for me.
Especially the leader of this group, right?
Right. So awesome. So
well, that is awesome.
Trying to fill my life with a lot more of that. Yeah. So hopefully your listeners out there, if you're in meetings, don't try not to be negative, because it doesn't do anything. It does nothing. It's zero productive, basically.
Well, other than that, what suggestions would you have for anybody listening who's might be feeling stopped, or like they want to be living a life illuminated? What would you suggest?
I just think, the self-work is so important. Self-work. And if it's meditation, or if it's therapy, or if it's just friends, or if it's just reaching out to a friend and being vulnerable, finding what I like to call like a positive buddy. So whoever your friend is, if it's the most positive person just say, hey, listen, will you just be my positive buddy or my positive sponsor, and kind of lift me up when I'm down? And they'd love to do it. Just having one person in your corner, that's so powerful. So powerful.
That is so funny that you're saying that, because this morning I had tea with a friend of mine that I haven't really spent time with in years. She came over and we sat in my living room. We just sort of caught up. And all of a sudden she got all bright-eyed. She goes, I have a great idea, Maggie. I'm like, what's that? She says, let's be accountability buddies. We'll 100%. Hold each other accountable for this, because we're both very similar in what we do and our ideas for our businesses and just our personalities. We're even the same tiny little size. And she just said, let's do that. I'm like, okay. And she made me shake her hand. And, every Friday we're going to meet and we're going to do this. And I'm like, okay, that sounds awesome. But it's just what you said. Awesome. Just what you said.
So it's those little things. It's just those little things. I think for men especially, and it's like you gotta ask for help. I didn't ask for help for most of my life, and then I did, and it changed everything. And another thing that just struck me when you're talking about the accountability partner, I just joined a group text. I know you women are on thousands of group texts, but maybe not you. But I just got on a group text with two guys that I've just met through the Neuyu Project. And we text each other a picture every morning of a top 10 gratitude list. So we have to write it out, take a picture, and just text it over into this group thing. And it's accountability, of course, but it also, forces the gratitude, which is the number one life hack in the world. So it's just little things like that. I think if people can just do one small thing, it'll get them on the right path to being able to take that breath.
Well, your meetings are going to change already. I can feel it. Right?
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
If you're doing,
we're ready to rock.
if you're doing daily gratitude lists, you can't walk into
Yeah.
this meeting with 24 negative comments, right?
That's right. That's right. And I don't even think they were negative. I think they were like, well, I don't know if this is going to work because we need to, which is normal business stuff. And he's like, no. It's negative. We got to be positive. I'm like, oh, you're right. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're pushing
Noted.
the boulder. You're pushing the boulder uphill.
Yeah.
So where can people learn more about you, or where can these guys find you?
So me, I'm on the social networks is at Furbus Trey, Trey. Furbus is the company, so that's stuck. At Furbus Trey. The Neuyu Project is the men's stuff that we're doing, which is Neuyu project.com. And then
Yeah, I saw your website. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Made me want to go, but I'm not a man.
Hey, listen, between you and me, every time I post something that we're doing these retreats, I have like a ton of girls. When are you going to do one for girls? When are you going to do one for girls? To the point where I'm thinking I could sell this thing out in 2 seconds for girls, but I have no idea what they need or what to teach them or anything. We would just stand there and look at each other. So,
now you need a partner. Maybe you need Tommy.
Yeah.
Tommy's wife.
We're going to have to bring you in to teach these women how to relax and breathe and chill out.
Yeah, so. I'm kind of good at that part.
we might be calling you up soon. So,
well, it has just been a pleasure to chat with you, Trey. You are really a lot of fun to get to know.
Cool. Oh, thank you. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
And I see success in your future.
Perfect. I like that. I like to hear that. Keep planting that seed. We keep planting that seed.
You got the greatest niche, because you're absolutely spot on about men needing a place to land. Because, as much as I do have men in my groups, I don't have nearly as many as I do women. And I just think that's also like you said, it's just the natural way of things. But I love that you're trying to open this can, and get these guys to come out of their shells and realize that they're just as human as the rest of us. And it's okay to, let the guard down and be human.
Yeah, we came across a quote. I think it might have been Thoreau or somebody that said, most men live lives of quiet desperation. And that sums up exactly what we found is they're dying inside, then they need something. And a lot of people, the guys that I meet are, there's men's groups, but they're all church based and it's religious based and, we're not into that. So it's like, where can we go to meet with regular dudes, So it's kind of what we're trying to do and trying to find and keep plugging away.
Yeah. I love it. You're an inspiration, Trey. I love it.
Cool.
It's been so nice to have you, and I appreciate your time, and we hope to have you again for sure.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Yeah. Well, here's to living a life illuminated.
Let's live a life illuminated. I'm going to breathe after this and chill out and smell the flowers outside.
Doesn't that sound like a good idea?
Yes, sir.